What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of JY Throws. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the importance of indoor training facilities, and there's a few main reasons why I think it's so beneficial. But first, let me show you the training facilities that we have here. So this idea came to me because we had a really rainy, crappy day yesterday where we were forced to go inside and get the reps that I need to get. So the UVA's indoor training facility we have is called The Cage, and The Cage is designed of a few different components, but specifically for throwing, I want to talk about this caged area that has a ring on the ground that's a discus-sized ring. You can put inserts in for hammer or shot put if you're going to do drills into the net. It's made of these giant rubber sheets that are hanging down from the top of the cage that dampen the blow of your implements, and they drop onto the ground after that. But for the purpose of hammer throw, to have these rubber sheets that can you can take full hammer throws, full turns. It's big enough that you're far enough away from the net that you can just take full 100% throws into the net with hammer, which is so phenomenal to have, because I don't think many places have an indoor hammer facility that you can actually use a real hammer. Like some places you have a net that you'll throw weird med balls with ropes attached or things like that to get the reps, but to have a full training facility for hammer is so beneficial. All right, so a separate section from the caged in area of the cage, we've got a shot put section that we can take full throws. We've got a full size ring set up with the toe board. We've got enough distance to take full throws, and we've got barriers set up at the end for the shot puts to roll into. So super awesome to have that. On top of that, we also have an indoor football stadium that when the football players aren't using it, which is they typically practice in the morning, so during the afternoon we've got access to this indoor facility that for weight throw, we can take full throws in there and get after it. Also for discus, if we set up the ring in the corner, as you can see here, you can take full throws across the width of the field from diagonally. And you can also set up the ring. There's people in there, so we didn't set up the ring a different way. But you can also set up your ring at the very back of the stadium and throw directly out into the center of the field. So to have those options for different training styles, whatever you're trying to achieve throughout your practice, is super beneficial to have. So just wanted to talk a little bit about those and show you guys the facilities that we had at UVA that we're training with, just so you guys can see them. Alright, so the main reason I want to talk about this was the benefits of indoor training, and depending on what time of the year you're trying to train, we have different facilities for those purposes. So for cold, crappy, miserable weather that you consider crappy enough that you don't want to throw outdoors, you've got these options that you can go to. So yesterday the weather was rainy and crappy, and because we're in the middle of the season and I'm more concerned with the flight and direction of my implements flying, I wanted to go into this indoor football stadium because you can take full discus throws, you can see the distance, and you can really start to track the flight, which is what you do outdoors. But one of the main benefits of being indoors is there's no markers in the field, there's no distance, and you can walk it off, you can measure it out. But for me personally, I like to not know the distance when I'm indoors because it allows me to focus on my technique. Also, during the winter, when you're just trying to grind out your technique and just trying to get the most amount of reps possible, you've got this cage area, and you can literally double or triple the amount of throws that you get in the same time by having a net to throw into, because you're only walking 5 steps to go pick up your implements. So to have those for the amount of speed that you can get the reps, but on top of that, to have it hit a net so you're not concerned with the distance and you can focus on just your technique. I think that the winter training months are some of the most important training months to set up your entire year, and I think that it's crucial to have an indoor training facility of some sort, whether it's a net. It doesn't need to be as elaborate as this giant rubber sheet setup, but somewhere just to grind out the reps and get them in so you can set up a base for your outdoor season when you get there. A great example of how nice it is to just focus technically when you're working indoors is this practice from yesterday, and here's a little clip about what I was thinking about. Alright, just started thinking about, there's a video of Ryan Krauser throwing where he shifts all the way over to his right side and goes long back over his left. So I started thinking about that in the discus, and not as much of a shift onto my left side,
but long back over that right, and keeping this arm long the whole throw. Feels so good right now, so just wanted to talk about that just so I remember.
And here's a throw that goes along with that clip. So I would say probably my best or second best practice ever in the discus yesterday. And I think a main reason why I had this practice was because I was indoors, not worrying about the distance, which I always do when I'm outdoors, but finally just able to relax and just focus technically. So to have that option to go inside may have changed my entire season. So I'm gonna try to stick with the thoughts that I was thinking about. I've got a meet next week, so hopefully I can apply that, or even when I get outside on Thursday, I'll see if it helped distance. The benefit of being indoors is phenomenal, and to forget about your distance, to just focus on technique is something so crucial, especially during the winter months when you really just want to focus on your technique. So for example, I was in Arizona for 2 years, and while I was there, the weather was nice all year, so there was no indoor training facility because we didn't need it. And there was a setup with rings with a net that you could throw into, but being directly next to rings that you can throw full distance, the coach started to get anxious. So we'd be throwing into the net and we'd focus on technique, and we'd do that for a little bit, and our technique would start to look good. So the coach was like, like, your technique's looking so good, I think maybe we should go to the ring and take some full throws. So you're heavy lifting, you go to the ring, and it really just like breaks you down because you're like, wow, like technically I felt so good, but now it's going nowhere. And you're throwing for full distance, but it's not going far. And it's because your nervous system's fried from heavy lifting. You haven't got the reps, you haven't got the feeling, and you've just been throwing into a net. So technically it does some amazing things for you. Distance-wise, during the winter, you're not going to be throwing as far as possible. So to have that easy access to throw outdoors all the time was something that I really did not like. And I definitely see the best results technically when I'm training indoors for a long period of time. And we don't have the option to go outside because, of course, when you're doing drills over and over again and you start to figure out pieces, like, you get anxious and your coach also gets anxious. So your coach wants to see you go outdoors and throw. But it's not the time for it in the middle of winter. So to have these indoor facilities and to have honestly cold weather that forces you to stay inside is really beneficial. And that's something that I was really looking forward to when I came to UVA, because I was at Arizona and we didn't train with the indoor style long enough and just drill into the net and just grind that out like we should have. To improve technically. All right, so I have no idea how long this is right now. It's been a few minutes of talking, so I just wanted to wrap this up. Just wanted to get some thoughts out and explain to you why I think the indoor training is so beneficial. And I think honestly one of the most crucial parts of your season is throwing indoors. So thank you very much for being here. If you made it to the end of this video, I hope that you have the best day ever. I will see you guys in the next video, but until then, take it easy.